My friends, welcome to the biggest comparison on my channel so far of the Shimano Steps motors. I want to tell you, this is not a paid review. I'm not advertising anything. Even though you see 3 Meridas here, this is not a paid review. I'm not really for just advertising new stuff, buy new stuff, buy new stuff. This is the last minute to think about the environment, and replacing stuff every 2 years, like cars, bikes, everything, is not the thing I do like. And you will see there is no sugarcoating here. So I just get these bikes from my friends from Stuttgart, Simon, Michael. I think I can just say regards to you just publicly on the channel. The first bike, the oldest one, is mine, actually my mom's, and the 2 you will see here are the testing bikes. 3 parts of this video. Number 1, what you actually clicked for. So comparison of the 3 motor units, nothing about the bikes, just the motors. Number 2, the components on the bike. So if you are interested on what e-bike components, what components on the e-bikes works and which don't work, because there are some I will criticize here. That's part number 2. All the chapters here in the description. Number 3, actually about the bikes, because we also have 3 generations of the e-bikes here and 3 generations of the Shimano Steps units. All right, so everything you need to know. Number 1, Shimano Steps. The newest bike here is equipped with the newest EP8 Shimano Steps motor, the most powerful one. This one here is the E7000. It is older, but also this is actually like the same generation like this one, but just the lower model. So this is the E7000 with the lowest torque, 60 Newton meters. And this one is the oldest, E8000. Guys, this bike has around between 10,000 and 15,000 kilometers in the wheel. So that's around, I don't know, 7,000 miles, just roughly. No issues ever with these. This bike has 500 or 600 kilometers now, and this one only 80 kilometers. So there will be nothing about durability of this motor, just the comparison. The first thing people are interested in regards of the e-bikes are the range and the power, and then how loud these are. So the EP8 seems to be as economic as the E8000. In theory, the E7000, because of the lower torque, should be a little bit more economic, but all 3 bikes are really energy efficient. I have made 100 kilometers on this bike many times on little old now battery, which is 503 watt hours. This is very economic, and I would say even the more powerful motor, which is the E8000, if you put it on the eco mode and you know how to ride it, because it's not true that the more you give of your legs, the more energy you will save, but in the battery it's the opposite. I can make another episode about that, but if you know how to ride it, you can do more than 100 kilometers on pretty flat terrain, of course not the off-road riding. So I must tell you that these are really efficient motors. If your computer is telling you you are like 70 kilometers to go, you still have 70 kilometers to go, and you go in the same manner for those 70 kilometers, you will do 70 kilometers. I remember once on this motor, E8000, but another bike, it showed me in the freezing temperature 119 kilometers of riding just at the beginning of the ride. Just right here, hilly terrain, but on the tarmac, I did 119 kilometers. If the slope changes, if you change, of course, the mode of riding, the range will update the info, and it still will be valid. So this is one of the best things about the Shimano Steps motor, that it will really give you pretty good evaluation or estimate or how many kilometers you are left. Okay, so in terms of the range, you don't have to worry. But Here you have the 503 watt-hours battery. Here you have the second generation of this e-bike. You have also 503 watt-hours. That's this battery. Here you have 630. You can see this one is much longer. This is actually same frame set, but seems like they already knew that Shimano was about to release the bigger battery, so to the same frame you can fit the bigger battery. Of course, you cannot fit this one to this frame, but I mean the frame set is the same, just the internals are designed differently and it fits. So 630 versus 500, that's quite a few kilometers more on this battery. So now with the newest generation of the e-bikes, I would say one battery will be really enough for lots and lots of riding. So in terms of the range, you can really trust what they say on their website, and you can trust your computer. The Steps, I can guarantee you, doing so many thousands of miles on my e-bike. Okay, power. Yes, you will feel that this motor, which is the E7000, has less kick than the older E8000 or the newest EP8. You will feel that. But when you go for the third and the most powerful mode, which is the boost mode, even on the E7000 you can do this is mountains. This is where I've been testing these bikes. You can do like really rough stuff. It doesn't have this kick that E8000 will give you on the boost and EP8, but it's still very powerful. You will not lack power on the E7000 motor unit. You just won't. I loved it, and also the way it supports you is very subtle. You don't really feel when Shimano Steps kicks in and kicks out, which I felt a lot on other different systems. I am not advertising Shimano by any means, but I really do like the characteristics of three modes: the economic, trail and boost. Of course, you can use the app and tweak some things, the way the motor will give you its torque on a given situation and on the mode that you are using. Here you have it. The range is true, the power just enough, and I must tell you sincerely, I didn't feel EP8 giving me that little bit more torque than E8000. Because when you use boost, you use it on difficult terrain, on really steep climbs, and I would even say that you don't really need more power, because you will be having troubles having control over the power that E8000 already have. So even more torque on EP8, maybe good for those who are now racing on the e-bike races. It gives you that more accelerations. Maybe if you didn't have time to actually change the gears, it will give you that more power. I didn't feel much difference between EP8 and E8000. All right, so we have the range, we have the power. You do feel that E7000 has less kick, but this is still, it's not like all-rounder sportive bike. This is still a true mountain bike motor, and this is 140. This is like tough trail bike. All right, now how loud these are. Okay, I would say, my friends, that the E8000 is the loudest of the three, but the E7000 has that little bit, I would say, like plasticky sound. Comparing this one to, for example, the Bosch, which I tried on the Cannondale Montera, the Bosch is a nightmare comparing to this one. This one will give you that sound. I'm gonna do some videos about the sound exclusively, but the E7000 feels a little bit more plasticky, and in the drive unit inside there are some differences in the materials that Shimano have used. I haven't experienced that, but some people say that E7000 will not be as durable, will not last as long as the E8000. I don't know about EP8, but the E8000. The next thing is that the EP8 is by far the most silent motor I've ever ridden. It is considerably more silent than the E7000 and the E8000. We were just riding, we just came home with my mom, because my mom is not riding that bike, and riding beside ourselves, I heard her E8000. She didn't hear my EP8 motor, because this is very, very silent. Now when the EP8 turns on, and it starts when you start pedaling, and it starts giving you some torque, some power, this kick moment has some not really nice sound, and sometimes on the descents you will hear that sound. You will hear that. It's not that annoying, but it is there. But on the uphills you don't really hear you have the e-bike, because the tires and the drivetrain will be very often much more loud than the motor itself. So here you have it. I must tell you more about the E8000, which I've ridden the most. The motor is very durable. I've done many times rainy rides and muddy rides. I was a couple of times I was riding in the water up to here. You can even see the rust in the bolts. Nothing ever happened to the E8000. The sound didn't change. It gives me the way it works didn't change. I never had to do anything with the E8000s. I must tell you, this is just really good. This is well-made stuff. This was great. I haven't done so many kilometers. It worked quite fine, but probably it's not as durable as the E8000. I cannot tell you about the EP8, because I just know the characteristics. I know the feeling. I know the power. Nothing about long distance riding. The next thing about e-bikes is the practicality. As you can see, the oldest one had the external battery, and the newer and the newest generation have the internal batteries. This one 500, so same capacity as the oldest one, and this one the biggest one. Well, the more integration, the less practicality, I must tell you. So here's the truth about it. I've already unlocked this battery. This is how it looks like. Really handy. This battery is really handy. All right, 503 watt hours, 503 630. This fits to my small camelback, and I was really often riding with two batteries, riding for just as many kilometers as I want, because e-bikes for me are for making technique drills. So if I need to go up and down, up and down, up and down, I take e-bike, because I'm training. I cannot ride so much not to be too tired to do the intervals the next day. So this is very practical, very, very practical. This is the longer one, and this is the longest one. I'm not sure I would like to carry this one on my back. But on the other hand, 630, I don't think that in my life I have used two 503 watt hours batteries during the one ride. We always want more, but isn't 80 kilometers enough? Isn't 100 kilometers enough? This one, I think 80 kilometers off-road on this battery wouldn't be a problem. So just know that. The other thing is that I was several times just taking this battery with me, being in the hotel somewhere in the mountains. taking the battery, leaving the bike in the storage room where they keep the bikes, taking this battery to my room and charging it. Well, maybe I don't know something, but seems like you cannot charge this battery when it's taken off the bike. If I'm not right, just please correct me, but this is not really practical. You can only charge this battery when it's in the bike. So imagine that you have e-bikes rental and you want to charge batteries. You cannot just have two batteries, and let's say one customer is coming, you replace the batteries, you charge the other one, because maybe there is some charger. Just let everybody know in the comments, but I don't see the simple port which was here, which never had any problems with water, with mud. I just liked it, because the charging port on the newer bikes is here. All right, and the last thing about this integration is that these bikes have an open frame here, which makes it more difficult to build a light bike. Still, some dirt will get inside. This is pretty well done, but this is not as practical as having this little this is like a backpack for the bike. It looks like a backpack on the frame set. I think I've covered most of the practical things you should know about 3 different motors and 3 different generations. So we are getting more juice, we are getting more integration, and of course we have to be honest, this bike with the integrated battery is so beautiful. This one is not that beautiful. So if it matters a lot for you, there you have it. The newer bikes will just look more beautiful. And one thing about the display unit, I don't have the batteries now on the bikes, but this is the unit. I think it's E7000 unit, right? So this is the like cheaper unit, and this is the unit for E8000. On the larger unit, you will see how much energy you are using right now, and you will be able to learn pretty quickly how your pedaling affects using the battery, because this is really smart thing. I love how Shimano have made it. The more you give from you, it means, okay, you want to run faster, we'll help you more. You want to ride like recovery ride, we will also give you less torque and less power. It all shows you on the display. On those smaller displays you're not gonna see. Part 2, the components on the e-bikes. First thing, my friends, about the e-bikes which are still messed up is the drivetrain. I mean, here I have the 1x10, here 1x11, and here 1x12. Most of the bikes you will be buying now will have the 1x12 drivetrain, and believe me, the e-bikes don't need 1x12 drivetrain. In particular, they don't need that 51 or 52 teeth sprocket, because you're not gonna use it. You're gonna use it maybe only if you're run out of juice and it's very hilly, so you're gonna just go 1-1, the lowest gear. But I don't know how often are you running out of juice. Maybe some of you do, I just don't. I plan my my trips on the e-bikes, and now with all the juice that we have, I just don't run out. But what we need on the cassette is smaller gaps between the sprockets at about 25 kilometers per hour. Why? Because this is the speed limit for the e-bikes. So if you ride on the eco mode on the tarmac, you will probably be riding 25 kilometers per hour. Believe me, difficult to find the right gear on 1x12, 1x10 Diori, and 1x11 XT, because these are just standard cassettes for mountain bikes. 25 is very important number for the e-bike. If you are riding off-road but you use trail and it's kind of hilly, you will be very often riding at 25 kilometers per hour. Of course, if you use boost, it will always try to almost catapult you to 25 kilometers per hour, and you want to have nice small gaps there, so that whether you ride 25 or 23, 24, maybe you speed up a little bit to 26, you want to have at least those two gears very close. Nobody so far has thought about e-bikers. Thing number two, we have eOne-Sixty, so 160 millimeters of travel. Here 140 millimeters of travel. Talking about rear, usually you get more at the front. I also had the first e-bike I had was E120, 120 millimeters of travel. How much you actually need? Well, this is e-bike, so you are not that much concerned about the weight, and the more travel you have, the more comfy you can get on off-road. The bike is also heavier, and if you start doing some jumps, some gaps, some this is enduro bike, right? And this one is also the enduro bike. I would say go for more. Go for more. If it's not that much more expensive, go for more travel. Don't think about the weight that much. Remember also, this battery weighs more than this one, so this bike will actually be a little bit more heavy than this one. And very important thing about the suspension, if you want to buy a real mountain bike, mountain bike, go full suspension, please do, because hardtails will just feel bad on the terrain, even though you're gonna get those wide tires and lots of suspension at the front. This bike is heavier. It's about 10 kilos heavier than the trail bike, than a nice trail bike. 10 kilograms on the bike, it's quite a lot. So really, if you want to go fast, if you want to go that boost thing and goes through the corners, goes through the roots and rough terrain, full suspension bike. I would not really bother buying bike which costs, let's say, $2,500 and it's a well-made hardtail on Shimano Steps. I would just add some $500, $1,000 and go for the full suspension bike. The wheels, because on the first generation I have 27.5 front and rear. Here we have the mullet thing, so we have 29er at the front, 27.5 at the rear. True and honest opinion, I don't feel that this 29er 27.5 mix is in any way better. If you try to go through some really tough and hard terrain, like off-road, like pretty big gaps between the rocks, 29er will be a little bit more safe, but I don't feel as if I was faster on this bike or this bike than the 27.5, 27.5. On the other hand, I neither feel that the 29er at the front feels more sluggish or not that quick in the corners. No, I feel just well on all of these bikes. And now please, if you are having the bike on 27, don't upgrade for 29, 27. Don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. Other thing, if you have E8000 motor and now the EP8 thing came out, don't upgrade. It will be more silent, but don't upgrade it unless somebody really wants to buy your bike. There's no point. It's not that much better, because the E8000 was really better, truly durable thing. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The bikes. So now, who is interested in the Merida bikes? There you go. You've been writing on my stories, some posts I'm putting that these are very cool, but this is Merida. So most of you don't know that Merida owns half of Specialized. and either Merida nor Specialized don't talk about it so much, and even the people from Stuttgart didn't tell me many details about that, but yeah, they do own Specialized. The engineering stuff is different for Specialized and Merida. That's what I know. I know that people in Stuttgart, Germany, are designing Meridas. They do not design Specialized, but as for the quality and the technology, they are not behind. The oldest Merida E160, E120 I also had. This is the aluminum frame. This is probably the stiffest rear triangle swing arm that Merida has made, so it's still same on even the newest generation. Okay, so that's one thing. The frame, I haven't done anything to this frame. I've never touched any of these pivots. I did not service my damper. I did not service the RockShox I have at the front. I just didn't have time for this bike. Maybe I always wanted to make tutorial on how to service those. I never did it. It never ever let me down. I never changed. This is the original housing. This is the original cable. I never changed it. This is the original cassette, all right? Original cassette, never changed it. I can tell you, this is a good bike. Yes, I'm happy with this bike, and now my mom, she's riding about 300 days in a year on this bike, putting lots of miles off-road mostly. This is E160. So you can do jumps, you can do pretty advanced things on this bike, and as you already know, 27.5 inch wheels front and rear are great. The Minions DHR2 are original for all these kilometers, and they still do fine. So good job, Merida. I never serviced the headset bearings on this bike. Never did. What I did, I just did the tutorial of how to service the dropper post of Merida. Merida probably doesn't make it, somebody is making it for them, but it's a really good one. Nothing, no issues. It's just easy, very simple, no issues with it. Cool. The newer generation, you should also check on their website. They also have the aluminum frame set now. So the new, the internal battery, there is the alloy version. But as for the carbon, what can I tell you? These are beautiful bikes. These have this thermal something protection for the battery and the frame inserts or ports here on both sides. It looks really beautiful. These bikes are, I've made some pictures today, beautiful bikes, but they are less practical than the one with the external battery. I'm not sure that one is still available. You will be probably now choosing between the bikes with 500 watt hours and 630. Well, if you can afford the one with the 630, go for it. Just one battery, lot of juice, very economic stuff. If you want to go for long range, use the app, set up your economic and tweak a little bit the trail mode. You will just love it. I haven't found any issues with the bikes, no squeaking, no noises from the frame set. The kinematic, you will like the kinematics of the suspension. One thing, I don't have the full lockout on the 140, either on the bomber nor on the dumper. I don't have the lockout on this one too, but I do have lockout on the newest bomber here, and maybe this one also have. I'm not sure about this one, I'm sorry, but here I have a lockout. So when this is open mode, this is in between, this is firm, this is actually fully locked, and here also this is now fully locked. I do prefer having the option of locking out the suspension, even on the e-bike. I like to go off the saddle, some gravel roads, even when you go with the motor on the trail mode, going up the hill, but you want to just go off the saddle, stand out a little bit, and put some power on the pedals. These bikes are very plush, so you don't want to be doing this, and then the lockout is really helpful because we are not concerned of the weight of the bike that much. I would love to have the remote on the handlebars, really. This is pretty much it. I have now replaced the original Merida Expert wheels, like on this bike, to the DD Swiss HXC carbon rims, 30mm versus 29mm, and also you could say that it's like a deeper section rim. They feel amazing on this bike. I love riding on these. I only did about 60 kilometers on these wheels, but I love them. Now on the e-bikes, the speed sensor is located there, just in front of the rear hub, and the magnet for it is integrated with the disc brake rotor. Because I've swapped these rotors, I have my own magnet, but maybe you will see it's on this bike. Okay, it's right there on the rotor. The oldest generation had still magnet on the spoke, which means that you can just turn your speed sensor to the other side, put the magnet on the crank arm, actually on the axle or spindle of your pedal, and then you can trick the computer. The speed will not be true on the display, but you will go over 25 kilometers per hour. Remember, this is just the off-road mode. We call it off-road mode. My mom is riding off-road, so it doesn't kick off at 25 kilometers. It will still support you. You can also use the battery much quicker, but if you want to ride really like 30 kilometers per hour, you have some gravel road and you love gravel grinding, maybe just take 2 batteries, then you have 1006 watt hours. That's it. If you like this video, just give me some thumbs up and put the questions in the comments. Anything more you would like to add about these bikes that you maybe tried also and have some knowledge, put it there as well. See you soon. Bye bye.